Welcome to the first episode of PlayStation Rewind. PlayStation Rewind is where we take a look back at the stories, rumours, leaks and news from the world of PlayStation. There's a lot to go through and discuss in the video today, so let's get cracking. As usual, the links to the articles are down below in the description. So top headlines from Monday the 5th of September, rumours that Silent Hill 2 remake screens have leaked online and are coming from an early concept build. We also had rumours that Silent Hill Remake was codenamed Sakura, which also leaked online. The Callisto Protocol director Glenn Schofield apologises after posting a tweet regarding crunch. And sticking with the Callisto Protocol, devs say its characters are the most realistic you will see in a game, right down to seeing ray trace reflection in the characters' eyeballs. The Last of Us Part 1 PS5 tops UK physical chart sales, and sticking with The Last of Us, fans reckon the game contains hints to Naughty Dog's new IP. Konami renewed its trademark of Suikoden ahead of the Tokyo Game Show, and Bungie says Destiny 2 power level could see major changes, but that would be a mammoth task. God of War Ragnarok promo brings in Rick and Morty to explore the Nine Realms, and Housemarque's GDC 2022 talk seemingly confirms Returnal has a PC version, which, let's be honest, we already knew. So from the top headlines we just mentioned there on Monday the 5th of September, let's take a closer look at a couple of them. Starting off with the rumours from Silent Hill. So rumours that Silent Hill 2 remake screens have leaked online are from an early concept build. Images of the as of yet unannounced Silent Hill 2 remake have surfaced online, although according to insider Dusk Golem, they are far from what the final build of the game will look like. The screenshots showcase what appears to be an over-the-shoulder camera in a similar style to Resident Evil 4, replacing the fixed angles seen in the original version of the game. They're real, but they're not even close to the final product. These are from an internal pitch demo from Bloober before they got greenlit, so it's literally a no-budget proof of concept thing rather than a final product, so just keep that in mind. Out of everything that could have leaked, this isn't actually what the final game looks like. Silent Hill 2 Remake is reportedly in development at Bloober Team and is one of 3 new entries in the franchise supposedly in development. While Konami hasn't officially announced anything yet, it is believed a reveal for Silent Hill or the projects will soon be made available. Silent Hill 2 was released for PS2 back in winter 2001 and is widely considered one of the greatest horror games ever made. The game is a standalone story that follows James Sunderland, who travels to the foggy town after receiving a letter from his late wife Mary. On top of rumours that a Silent Hill 2 remake has just leaked, a remake project for the original Silent Hill has also leaked. Again, this is from Dusk Golem. It is rumoured that the Silent Hill remake game has been codenamed Sakura. Dusk Golem goes on to say, there's an additional Silent Hill leak that's not related to Silent Hill 2 remake, but to the Sakura teaser that seems like it's about to get spread. Already saw some in possession of it and was the thing I was hoping it wouldn't get leaked, and kind of confirms what I suspected was leaked. My suggestion, if you want to avoid spoilers, is to not look too deeply at it. The leak includes an entire story transcript of Sakura that spoils the whole thing. It isn't Japanese, but still. I actually quite like the story of Sakura and would recommend not to spoil it for yourself if interested in playing it. I know for many people there's the curiosity impact. Many currently don't have or believe this is a leak or that it's real, but it is, and I think that having the story of that spoiled sucks, and recommend avoiding it if you're at all interested in playing the free teaser in the future. Moving on to another one of the headlines from Monday the 5th of September, we have the Callisto Protocol and the director behind it, Glenn Schofield, who actually made a bit of a boo-boo by tweeting something about crunch. His tweet was posted over the weekend and described how the team at Striking Distance Studios are working long hours in the run-up to the game's launch this December. However, Schofield removed the tweet not long after receiving a heap of negative comments. Here's what the tweet said. I only talk about the game during an event. We are working 6 to 7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working. Bugs, glitches, perf fixes, first pass through audios, 15 to 16 hours a day. This is gaming, hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it. Schofield later apologised, writing, "Anyone who knows me knows how passionate I am about the people I work with." He goes on to say, "Earlier I tweeted how proud I was of the effort and hours the team was putting in. That was wrong. We value passion and creativity, not long hours. I'm sorry for the team for coming across like this." In another piece of news from the Callisto Protocol, we have the devs talking about its characters and how they are the most realistic you will see in a game, right down to ray-traced reflections for the eyeballs. Speaking during an interview with Tech Radar, Striking Distance Studios' Mark James revealed that the Callisto Protocol's characters are the most realistic you'll see in a game, right down to the eyeballs, which boast ray-traced reflections. Our characters are the most realistic characters you'll see in a game. So much so that when we first showed our game, everybody thought it was pre-rendered. We're like, no, this is how our characters look. We've got a full scan, even down to ray trace reflections for the eyeballs. So if you look into the eyes and the detail level in our game, you'll see their reflected optics. It's a real tiny detail, but it's in those tiny details that actually they're so important to our game. In related Callisto Protocol news, it was also confirmed that the Callisto Protocol will receive 4 years of post-launch DLC. And the final piece of news rounding up the headlines for Monday the 5th of September involves The Last of Us. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 1 has topped the physical UK all-format chart. The Last of Us is only available on the PS5, so the fact that it managed to top the charts is still pretty impressive, especially when you consider this is the third version of the game released in 2013. Built from the ground up for the PS5, The Last of Us Part 1 features a number of improvements over the original and its PS4 remaster. And in other news about The Last of Us Part 1, fans reckon the game contains hints to Naughty Dog's new IP. The Naughty Dog team is keeping quiet about its new IP for the PS5, but The Last of Us Part 1 players reckon Sony's owned studio has hidden a few hints about the project within its latest version of the post-apocalyptic title. That's better. Fans have begun poking around in every nook and cranny for The Last of Us Part 1 and have uncovered a bunch of posters that seem to have a fantasy theme, something which Naughty Dog's new IP is supposedly based around. You can check out some of the images if you look at the link to the article down below in the description. Whilst these could be completely unrelated to whatever Naughty Dog is working on, it's worth remembering that the studio previously teased upcoming projects within its games. For example, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception teased The Last of Us via a newspaper article about an infection. Speculation about a fantasy setting for Naughty Dog's next major project originates from concept art posted by Hyungnam back in early 2021, which depicted a female medieval warrior setting beside a very dead dragon. News quickly spread, and Ham said the images were merely a homage to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a game that does not actually feature any dragons. Was this just Ham attempting to cover up their tracks and turn the attention away from something that may be related to Naughty Dog's new game? It's possible, but we just have to wait and see for now. Do me a favour guys, hit the subscribe, like and bell buttons. That really helps out the channel. That covers everything from Monday the 5th of September. Moving on to the top headlines from Tuesday the 6th of September. Biomutant launched on PS5 on Tuesday the 6th of September, complete with 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. Night Drive Studios explains the difference between a video game remake and a remaster. PlayStation Plus Essentials for September revealed. Again, check out what's available in the link down below. We have a rumour of Metal Gear Solid. The Twin Snakes remaster could be on the cards. And Resident Evil 2 Remake, credited by Night Drive Studios for revitalising horror games. Cyberpunk 2077 New Game Plus, unlikely to be included in next major update. Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red has announced that the game's next update is unlikely to include a new Game Plus mode, which is very disappointing. Resident Evil Lady Dumitrescu, the actress, is back in the mocap studio. Quite what this is would be anyone's guess, as Capcom hasn't announced anything that we are aware of, especially anything new. Perhaps there's something DLC related, or maybe even PSVR 2 related. Time will indeed tell. Gundam Evolution unleashes free-to-play FPS action for PS5 and PS4. If you are into this type of thing, then that's exciting. We have a new BioShock, which is reportedly set in Antarctica, which is claimed is bigger than previous games and should launch by the end of 2024. We have a PS5 Grey Camouflage Collection announced for fall of 2022, which is good news because the only reason why PlayStation would now start to introduce different versions and very bespoke consoles is because they're confident they have enough regular consoles. Let's see if that's true. Firewall Ultra has been announced as a PSVR 2 follow-up to Firewall 0 Hour, and Tencent invests heavily in Ubisoft's family holding company Guillemot Brothers Limited as it looks to strengthen its position with a possible takeover and fully acquire Ubisoft somewhere in the near future. So from the headlines just mentioned for Tuesday the 6th, let's take a closer look at a couple of them. Metal Gear Solid is one of my favourite franchises, and I always get a little bit excited when I hear any stories or rumours or remakes or remasters. So here we have a rumour that Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes remaster could be on the cards. Take this with a pinch of salt, but Nick Baker, who co-owns Xbox Era, has indicated that Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes is getting a remaster treatment for the modern platforms. Baker tweeted the following: Twin Snakes image following news of the incoming Metal Gear Solid remasters last week. For those unaware, MGS The Twin Snakes was released on Nintendo GameCube back in 2004 and is a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid. Aside from the obvious visual improvements, the game also introduces a host of new gameplay mechanics, essentially making it play like MGS2 Sons of Liberty. The Twin Snakes has not been released on any other platform to date other than the GameCube, so it would make a solid move on Konami to re-release the game. The game itself was developed by Silicon Knights and published by Nintendo. Moving on to the next headline for Tuesday the 6th, Resident Evil 2 Remake has been credited by Night Drive Studios for revitalizing horror games. The CEO of System Shock remake developer Night Drive Studios has credited Capcom's Resident Evil 2 Remake for giving horror games a much needed shot in the arm. Speaking with VGC, Stephen Kick suggested that Resident Evil 2 Remake's success is the reason why we're getting a Dead Space remake and a general resurgence in the sci-fi horror genre as a whole. I'm a really big fan of Dead Space, so I was psyched to see they're making the first one. Callisto Protocol looks amazing, and of course we've got System Shock, and like you say, they're coming out all around about the same time. I'm very happy to see sci-fi horror is probably one of my favourite game genres, so I'm always looking out for stuff like that, but I couldn't tell you why right now more than ever we're seeing an influx, if you like, of that type of product, that type of content. Maybe people are just getting tired of the fantasy genre for now. It's like an ebb and flow, right? You got your World of Warcrafts and you got your EverQuests, and they were really big in the 2000s, and then it kind of moved out and moved towards sci-fi, and then it went back to fantasy, and now we're heading back to sci-fi again. You kind of have that ebb and flow, and you just look at the history and how these things kind of come back and forth. But the thing that really surprises me is that traditionally horror sci-fi games don't sell that well, but I think with the advent of some of the more recent remasters, specifically the Resident Evil games, there's been a huge influx in people just wanting to play horror. Resident Evil 2 did such a wonderful job, they really set the bar of what a remake should be, and it sold incredibly well. And I think that had to have been a major factor in why we're seeing Dead Space being made. I mean, Dead Space was a response to Resident Evil 4 when that first came out, so history is repeating itself. Moving on to the next headline for Tuesday the 6th, a new BioShock is reportedly set in Antarctica, is bigger than previous games and should launch by the end of 2024. Developer Cloud Chamber is keeping details close to its chest regarding the new BioShock game, but according to an Ups leak on Twitter, needless to say, take this obviously with a pinch of salt, the game will take place in Antarctica. The leaker posted an extensive list of info that they have been told about the game, which is claimed to be out by the end of 2024. From the sound of things, the new BioShock will be considerably larger than previous entries. I have received confirmation that the game will be based in Antarctica, an open world with a main story that has multiple endings. Allegedly, the theme of the aggregate states of water plays a huge role in the plot, to which will be more extensively revealed through side quests. The art style and in-game graphic design is similar to Deathloop. It has a 1960s, the British invasion and counterculture vibes. Style is psychedelic and trippy, and I guess the music is too. The new BioShock game hasn't actually officially been revealed yet by Cloud Chamber, although that hasn't stopped details from being spilled on the project via multiple job listings over the past few years. Back in May 2021, a job listing from the studio seemingly confirmed that the new BioShock game will utilize the Unreal Engine 5. Looking at the final headline from Tuesday the 6th, First Contact Entertainment has announced PSVR 2 shooter Firewall Ultra billed as the next evolution for the franchise. Speaking on the PlayStation blog, Frank Marm, First Contact's community manager, Firewall Ultra will take place 5 years after the events of the original title, with PSVR 2 offering an eyeball-popping 4K HDR. All character models have been completely remade for Sony's new hardware, while maps have also been overhauled, boasting fresh areas and textures. We've been listening to our community over the past 4 years, and we're proud to announce that you'll be playing Firewall Ultra on dedicated servers. We're also adding rounds to the game, so each match will now have the best of 3, and we're adding an entirely new PvE experience. Plus, we have future content planned post-launch, such as new contractors, maps, and weapons. Elsewhere, the studio confirmed that Firewall Ultra will incorporate PSVR 2 Sense technology, including eye tracking, allowing you to swap weapons intuitively and launch HUD indicators via cameras built into the headset. I'm always excited to learn more and learn about anything related to PSVR 2. This sounds excellent, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this game, especially with its eye-popping 4K HDR. Okay, so that covers everything from Tuesday the 6th of September. Moving on to the top headlines for the week. This is from Wednesday the 7th of September. New PS5 system update, which adds 1440 support and new social features. That's now live on the PS5. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty is the only planned expansion for the game. The new PS5 models recently launched reveal that the new consoles have surprisingly different internals, resulting in a slightly lighter console. Assassin's Creed Mirage PSN listing confirms cross-gen release. Jim Ryan calls Microsoft's offer to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation after the current deal expires as inadequate on many levels. The Witcher 3 on PS5 is on track to launch in Q4, according to CD Projekt Red resident and Joint Chief Adam Kaczynski. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which is the next-gen update, is on track to come out to the PS5 in Q4. The Biomutant review for PS5 is out, so if you haven't played the game and you usually look at reviews before playing games, and take a look at the review, the links are in the description down below. The new Atomic Heart game has had its launch window pushed back. CD Projekt Red has more than one Witcher game in mind for the franchise's next saga. Marvel's Spider-Man celebrates its 4th anniversary as it launched on the PlayStation 4 on September the 7th, 2018. and CD Projekt Red saying that it's fully committed to Cyberpunk IP even after Phantom Liberty. So I just want to take a closer look at one of those main headlines, and of course it's the Jim Ryan one. Jim Ryan calls Microsoft's offer to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation after its current deal expires as inadequate on many levels. When it was revealed that Phil Spencer wrote a letter to Jim Ryan promising that Call of Duty would remain on PlayStation for several more years after Sony's current deal with Activision ran out, the question on everybody's mind was, what does several more years mean? Now it looks like we have an answer, as Jim Ryan and PlayStation provide a statement to gamesindustry.biz revealing that Spencer promised Call of Duty would remain for 3 years after the current agreement, and that's what Ryan said. For Ryan, this is not a good deal at all, even though it means PlayStation players would still be able to enjoy Call of Duty on PlayStation for almost another decade. You can check out the full statement via the links in the description, but Jim Ryan goes on to say, I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum. Microsoft has only offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on so many levels and failed to take on the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. Just last month, Microsoft was trying to argue that it simply wouldn't be profitable for Call of Duty to become exclusive to Xbox, and that there were no plans to make it so. Well, I don't think we've heard the last of this, do you? Do me a favour guys and hit the subscribe, like and bell buttons, that really helps out the channel. So that covers everything on Wednesday the 7th of September, moving on to the top headlines for Thursday the 8th of September. Crystal Dynamics has officially taken control of key franchises including Tomb Raider and Legacy of Kain. Horizon Call of the Mountain can now be wishlisted as PSVR 2 games start to appear on the PS Store. HBO's The Last of Us series has kicked off final audio mixing, which indicates that the show is about to go live anytime soon. Football Manager 2023 is kicking off on the PS5. For the first time ever, Football Manager is coming to Sony's PlayStation platform. Ridgeline Games, established by EA to work on narrative campaign in Battlefield universe. So EA confirms that work on a Battlefield narrative campaign is in the works at the newly formed Ridgeline Games. Glad they're actually doing this because many years ago Battlefield used to be a good game, and the draw of a single player campaign in Battlefield and Call of Duty is really what draws me into those games. So I really hope they get an excellent campaign mode, a single player campaign mode, and it does the franchise some good. So looking forward to learning more about what Battlefield does with its single player campaign. We have a rumour that Amy Hennig's Marvel game will feature Captain America and Black Panther in a World War II setting. God of War Ragnarok will include 60 plus accessibility features. Sony Santa Monica seems to have made a concerted effort to include plenty of accessibility features in God of War Ragnarok, with over 60 features included. The latest PS5 system software update has also added a new feature to trophies. And finally, Tomb Raider and Deus Ex are in Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal's control. Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics have officially been granted control over the Deus Ex and Tomb Raider IP respectively. So let's take a closer look at one of those headlines, and it's God of War Ragnarok, which includes over 60 accessibility features. Since Naughty Dog seemingly began the initiative among PlayStation studios, they developed games to include more accessibility options. With The Last of Us Part 2, there's been a concerted effort from every team under PlayStation's wing to do the same in their games. God of War Ragnarok is no different. It seems as though Sony Santa Monica has included more than 60 accessibility options for Kratos' next adventure, each designed to make the epic tale about a father and son available to everyone. The news comes from website Game Informer's continued coverage of the title as it spoke to lead UX designer at Sony Santa Monica, Mila Pavlin. And she goes on to say, "This is a fantastic epic story. This is a story about a father and son. This is about the fate of the 9 realms and the ability to go into that. Regardless of your background, you will be able to experience all of this rich detail and history and story that drives me every day." Pavlin and her team have done their best to include as many features as they could to present players with a chance to fine-tune almost any aspect of the game. This goes beyond visual and audio focused accessibility options, but part of the gameplay can be fine-tuned to make sure everyone and anyone is able to experience the full game. Despite this effort though, Pavlin is not satisfied. 60 plus features is tremendous to get to. I still think we can do better. I think we can push it further. But honestly, I feel like people will be excited to see just how many more players can play. And if I can push a feature to the point where just one more player could play, then that would be the greatest thing in the world. To be able to see that one player and understand how that lets them connect with the community and connect with everyone. That's a fantastic achievement from Pavlin. Fantastic. Okay, that covers everything on Thursday the 8th. Swiftly moving on to the top headlines for Friday the 9th of September. So Battlefield's creative director Lars Gustafsson is leaving DICE after 20 years. Well, let's be honest, they haven't made a good Battlefield game for around 15 years, so maybe it's about time they shook things up at the top level. Battlefield has been in decline for such a long time, and it was such a good game in its early years, so maybe a change in senior exec is what's needed. Raidec engine has been trademarked by Square Enix in Japan. Deviation Games announces the departure of co-founder Jason Blundell. New Evil West trailer offers 12 minutes of stunning gothic-looking westerner action. Available on my channel. Take a look at the game trailers playlist to see the new game trailer from Evil West. Ex-Sony manager reveals why PS5 folders were not included at launch, and this was mainly down to avoiding crunch to get the console out on time during a period of global pandemic. Ex-devs hint that the Last of Us multiplayer game set in dense city with lots of details. UK PS5 sales overtake Switch to become the best-selling console so far this year, and it just goes to show what could happen as soon as Sony can guarantee PS5 stock. Call of Duty's next showcase is taking place on September the 15th. It will include Call of Duty Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2. Sony has been ranked as Activision's Blizzard's biggest customer in terms of revenue during 2020. Sony PlayStation accounting for 17% of Activision Blizzard's total net revenue, which is around $1.3 billion. Apple was 15%, Google was 14%, and Microsoft was 11%. It looks like Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection is coming to PC next month in October. The Epic Games Stores has seemingly leaked out the release date for Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection on PC, corroborating a previous rumour that it would be coming out in October. And Amy Henningberg's Marvel game officially teased, featuring Captain America and Black Panther 2 in a World War II setting. So let's take a closer look at a couple of the main headlines here. The one I'm going to start with is about Deviation Games. And Deviation Games announced that the departure of co-founder Jason Blundell. It goes on to say here that Deviation Games co-founder Jason Blundell is departing the studio. The company announced in a press release on Twitter the reason for Blundell's admittedly sudden departure are now not known right now. A statement on the Deviation Games Twitter account says the following. Deviation Games is announcing that Jason Blundell has left the studio. We appreciate the contribution Jason has made and we wish him the best in his future endeavours. Deviation will continue to be led by CEO Dave Anthony, who also assumed the role of game director this past year and remains a guiding force as we look ahead. We are excited to announce that Lewis Castle has joined Deviation Games as Senior Vice President of Development. A video game industry veteran with 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards, Lewis co-founded Westwood Studios, best known for creating the legendary Command & Conquer franchise. Lewis is joined by an incredible roster of industry veterans who recently joined the studio, including God of War alumni Jonathan Hawkins and Dean Reimer, and Call of Duty Black Ops guru Tony Flame. This plethora of talent makes Deviation uniquely equipped to continue leading the ever-evolving games industry into the future, including with continued development of our previously announced groundbreaking AAA original IP. Not much is known about Deviation Games' debut project yet, other than it's going to be a AAA title for Sony. The studio spent about a year building up its team before entering full production, and in a message to the community, Blundell did mention about finding the perfect marriage between game design and storytelling, and perhaps it's fitting that he's left the business, he's left the studio as it were, especially if it's not going to be a match made in heaven. It's right to move on rather than being unhappy in a role. So moving on to the next headline from Friday, according to an ex-Naughty Dog employee, The Last of Us multiplayer game is set in a dense city with lots of detail. Naughty Dog is keeping tight-lipped on its The Last of Us multiplayer game, but the LinkedIn profile for Matthew Seymour, a former environment designer for the Sony-owned studio, has possibly revealed a couple of interesting bits of information about the game. We say possibly because the resume doesn't actually mention the game by name, but it confirms that he worked on a project from June 2020 until December 2021. This obviously isn't The Last of Us Part 2 or The Last of Us Part 1. Neither game features multiplayer, so it makes sense it will be The Last of Us standalone multiplayer game. Beyond that, beyond The Last of Us multiplayer, Naughty Dog is also chiseling away on a brand new IP which fans reckon has been hinted at in The Last of Us Part 1 via in-game posters, which I've already covered earlier in this podcast. So that covers everything on Friday the 9th of September. Moving now into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the 10th and the 11th of September. And mainly, you don't often get much happening over the weekend, but a lot of this will follow on from the recent Ubisoft forward, which we've seen. Skull and Bones extended gameplay demo, which showcases an action-packed pirate adventure on the high seas, a high seas romp that looks to recall the essence of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We've also seen a new Division game called Heartland, which is a new free-to-play survival action game. At Ubisoft Forward, we were treated to a glimpse at the next title in the Assassin's Creed franchise. This is called Assassin's Creed Mirage, which aims to return to the series' roots with an all-new epic set in the ancient Baghdad. Ubisoft will also finally bring Assassin's Creed to Japan with Assassin's Creed codenamed Red, which that's also been revealed from the Ubisoft Forward. New game trailers for all of these games will be available on my channel. If you can head over to the playlist called Game Trailers, you can find out the latest game trailers available to watch now. Each week, as we get new games revealed, I will be sure to feature the new gameplay and trailers within the Game Trailers playlist. So just kind of an FYI, if you want to see new gameplay and if it's out, I'll drop it into the playlist. That's going to do it for the first PlayStation Rewind podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations or suggestions for the podcast, I'd be sure to listen. Let me know down below in the description. Thank you for watching, and on your way out, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, leave the video a like, and hit the bell notification icons.